Antetokounmpo. Yesterday, Giannis responded to the report by reaffirming his commitment to Milwaukee. Here's what he had to say.
I think I've communicated with my teammates, communicated with the people that I respect and love, that the moment that I step in on this court or in this facility and wear this jersey, the rest does not matter. I'm locked into whatever I have in front of me. Now, if in 6-7 months I change my mind, I think that's human too. You're allowed to make any decision you want, but I'm locked in. I'm locked into this team. I'm locked into these guys, to this group, and to my coaching staff, and to myself.
All right, and we welcome in Brian Windhorst to the show. Great to see you, Windy. How long do you think Giannis stays in Milwaukee?
He just gave you the answer to that question. He said 6 or 7 months. He didn't just pull that number out of thin air. He thought very carefully about how long it was until the end of the season. And what he basically said there is, I'm going to give it another evaluation at the end of the season. And look, Giannis said yesterday what he had to say. He's starting the season with the Milwaukee Bucks. He made that decision over the summer. Doc Rivers had some comments yesterday. Doc said what he had to say, which is that they've got to focus on this season. But you didn't see a denial from either of them. The Knicks and the Bucks certainly talked in August. And I'm going to say, if you look at the big picture, it's a little bit disconcerting if I'm the Bucks that I made this crazy maneuver in July, waiving Dame Lillard and then signing Miles Turner, both of them $100 million maneuvers. And then in August, Giannis said, hey, what about the Knicks? That's not necessarily a good sign. If Giannis truly wanted to get traded, he probably would have approached the Bucks in June, and he would have done some maneuvers that made it clear that's what he wanted. But it is very clear to the whole league that Giannis' situation in Milwaukee is probably short-term. Stephen A., could they surprise the league this year and have a great run of the Eastern Conference? I've seen stranger things. The Eastern Conference is not particularly strong, and that's why Giannis is leaving the door open. While everybody's being respectful, the league is preparing for the end of Giannis' tenure in Milwaukee. That's not an insult. That's just a reality. And you can hear by Giannis' own words and actions, he's thinking about it in the back of his mind too.
Well, first of all, a couple of things. Let's get out the way. New York Knicks going to the finals. New York Knicks going to the finals, Woody. I don't know if you heard me say that. I believe New York Knicks are going to the finals. Now, it is by default, no doubt about it. Jason Tatum with the torn Achilles. Damian Lillard torn Achilles, and now he's no longer in Milwaukee with Giannis. He's in Portland. Tyrese Halliburton, he's got the torn Achilles. I get it. There's a lot of things that happen, but damn it, that ain't my problem. New York Knicks going to the finals. Let me get that out the way. Secondly, if you're the New York Knicks and you had an opportunity to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't give a damn what you have to give up. The cheerleaders, the security personnel, the concession work. I don't give a damn what you got to do. If you could get Giannis to the Garden, I mean, that would have been spectacular. And I know that that's something that the New York Knicks believe they have a chance of pulling off. Here's my problem. The New York Knicks messed up, and this is where the Mikal Bridges name comes into the equation. For those of you out there who don't know your basketball, Mikal Bridges can play. He is not a scrub, okay? He can play the game of basketball, and oh, by the way, he's a very reliable asset in terms of showing up to work each and every single day, okay? Even though he had some complaints about Tom Thibodeau, the now former coach, running him into the ground, running the starters into the ground. But Mikal Bridges is no all-star. And not only do the New York Knicks paid him and then rewarded him with a $150 million extension, which I believe in today's NBA economy he deserved, by the way. The $150 million is not an issue for me, Wendy. The issue has been, is, and will always remain unless the New York Knicks win a championship with him as a pivotal component to that aspirational goal. You gave up 5 first-round picks for him. Too much. So when you're talking about acquiring somebody like Giannis Antetokounmpo, it's not just about a Karl Anthony Towns going out the door, or Mikal Bridges, or an Anunoby, or somebody like that. Milwaukee would want draft capital. You don't lose a Giannis Antetokounmpo for nothing. You don't do that. You can't let him walk out the door and get nothing in return for that level of greatness, who's averaged 30 and 11 over the last 3 years, who's averaged at least 28 and 11 over the last 6 years. He's Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the top 5 players on the planet Earth. This is who he is. And if you have an opportunity to get him, you have to explore it, you have to pursue it, and you have to pursue it with rigor. And the belief is that that's a place he would want to be. Not Los Angeles, okay? It would be New York, maybe even Boston, but definitely New York. So I appreciate Giannis, who's a real one, who's not a phony, who doesn't double talk. He doesn't do anything. He's been very authentic. He's looking at a Milwaukee Bucks squad, and he's saying, this is an organization that drafted me, that believed in me, that has been very good to me, that helped me capture a championship because they got me the assets that I needed in the past. But since that time, I've gone to a semifinals, and other than that, I've been bounced out of the postseason, at least 2 times, 3 times. So that's what he's faced with now, and looking at what they're going to be able to do. A Cole Anthony is there, Miles Turner is there, a Kevin Porter Jr. is there, stuff like that. That's not going to win you championships. So he's looking at the Milwaukee Bucks and saying, are you really going to be able to get anybody here for me? Because if they could, Giannis wouldn't be thinking about leaving. He's thinking about leaving because he doesn't believe organizationally that they're going to be able to supply him with the requisite parts for him to definitively compete for a championship. And that's where the trepidation is.
You're exactly right, Stephen A. Actions over words. He watched their summer of moves as sort of out of the box as they were, and in August, here he is trying to get traded to the Knicks. That's the actions. And I actually think that the Knicks are in decent position here, and let me tell you why. Because the Bucks do not control their draft for the next 5 years. They're still paying off the debt from building that championship team and those championship contenders. So if the Bucks ever reach a position where they feel like they have to trade Giannis, they can't tank. They don't control their draft. So if you're going to make a Giannis trade, it's probably going to be a player-based trade. And the Knicks are in position to make a player-based trade. The difference about the Knicks and the difference about the other suitors for Giannis is that the Knicks went ahead with their business this summer. If you remember, when Kevin Durant was traded to the Rockets, the price wasn't that high. And people wondered, why didn't the Rockets have to pay that much? The answer was Giannis. Let me explain. There were several teams that were on Kevin Durant's list, San Antonio, Miami, for example, who had the assets to trade for Durant, but they held on to them. Why did they hold on to them? Because they knew the possibility that Giannis could be there. Okay? Why did the Golden State Warriors spend the entire summer leveraging Jonathan Kuminga into a contract that they could trade? Kuminga had the ability to put a no-trade clause in that contract. When the dust settled, he got his money, but he got a 1-year deal with a no-trade clause. That's so that they can make a trade involving Kuminga. So you look at Golden State, you look at San Antonio, you look at Miami. Those are 3 teams that have put themselves in position to bid for Giannis if he comes to market, whether it's in this season or not. Where New York is different, as you said, Stephen A., the Knicks made a decision at the end of July to extend Mikal Bridges. That took Bridges out of the ability to be traded until February 1st. The deadline is February 5th. In any sort of a deal between New York and Milwaukee, Bridges is almost certainly going to be involved. And I don't blame the Knicks for that, Stephen A., because as you said, the Knicks believe that they can win the East this year. So why are they going to wait around for Giannis to make up his mind? They got to set their team. I was with them last week in Abu Dhabi. They are in a really good place mentally, the Knicks. Bridges is running the floor. He's got a place in this Mike Brown offense that's more expanded. Maybe they get to the middle of the season and they like the hand that they have. But don't forget that. Remember February 1st, because if we get to February 1st and things are going a certain way in Milwaukee and things are going a certain way in New York, Bridges comes back on the table potentially.
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, the New York Knicks are in a very good place. By default, I might add, but damn it, that's other people's problem, not the New York Knicks problem, okay? So they are in a very, very good place. And you had to pay Mikal Bridges because that's Jalen Brunson's boy, not just because he could play, but this is the same Jalen Brunson that could have waited a year and then signed his multi-year extension for at least $100 million more. He didn't do that. You know, he signed early, gave the Knicks a break, which ultimately facilitated them being able to make moves to acquire him in the trade. So you had to pay him the $150 million, and he's worth $150 million. In today's NBA economy, Mikal Bridges is worth $150 million. Let's just be honest about it. The flip side to it, however, is that even
you.